presentation on the internal SPC page. So hopefully most are familiar with it, but if not, it's a great resource during, before and during events. So I believe I don't think it's linked here, but I'll be sure it's linked somewhere. It's like spc.nowhere.gov/internal. I think they changed that at the end of last year. And you have to log in with your CAC card, but it's got some great resources on it. So I believe you can access it from home if you have a CAC reader, but again, the main things available is there's a breakdown of your tornado, wind, and hail probabilities, like throughout the rest of day 1 period. There's a watch status and days 1 through 3 convective outlook preview. I know I use this outlook preview quite a bit. Like if the day 1 update comes out like 1630Z, it's usually updated on this page around like 16Z. Days 2 to 3 are also updated slightly earlier, but it's great to kind of get a heads up of what SPC is about to put out, or if you want to chat them that you're not happy with the update. But again, it's good for a heads up. But the main part I'll talk about today is the breakdown of the probabilities versus time. So there's this big bold letters on the internal page saying, please do not redistribute contents from the site. However, there is a little caveat. Steve reached out to SPC, I think last month, saying that you can share the timing graphics. I think Steve saw it shared on another WFO's social media, and he wanted to be sure that we were allowed to do it. And SPC seems very enthusiastic about us sharing it with, getting feedback from the partners on the usefulness of this information. So we are allowed to share it. I'm sure some of you have seen it on recent severe briefings Steve's put together. But just wanted to put that out there, that even though it says do not redistribute, there's a small asterisk to that yes, we can for timing graphics, particularly with partners in our briefings. So again, for those who haven't seen the page, this is the timing guidance main page. So you can click wind, hail, or tornado. I think it automatically loops on wind as soon as you load it up, but you can click one of the 3. You can hover over all the times. You can watch it'll kind of give you a timing in your head of when the worst conditions are going to be during the day, especially, broken out wind, tornado. It's a really good resource. I've used this quite a bit in the last year. And so you can look at the probabilities, the category. Never mess with the GIS layers. But again, this is just for day 1, but it's great for timing guidance. So yeah, you can view the loop for each hazard, or you can select individual times. So this is an example Steve wrote for, from using this graphic. You say, while the overall risk begins to increase after 2, the highest probabilities for severe weather between 4 and 7 for Wilmington. And so overall, you can give a broad window, but you can kind of narrow in on when the probabilities will be the highest. So great for IDSS. You can even use it for social media, or just for your own situational awareness to kind of give an idea for maybe for staffing, like when this time frame is most critical. Now the peak part of this, or I guess the main part of this presentation, is this time series viewer, which I'll be honest, I wasn't even aware of until I started seeing it in Steve's briefings. But on the left side, if you click this time series button on, you'll start seeing dots appear wherever there's a marginal or higher outlook that will bring up a time series. So this is what it looks like. So you might see this might be preferred versus 2D maps, especially if you're interested in a specific city or area, or maybe this is just easier to view. And so if you hover over one of those dots, it'll bring up this, time series that shows you, wind, tornado, and hail, the probabilities over the day one outlook. So it's highlighted based on, like you can see the slight risk when the probabilities go above 15%, the window for the marginal risk, and kind of gives a great view throughout the day. So these plots can be shared in severe briefings or social media. You please be sure to mention what location the time series is for, because it just has a latitude and longitude. So you'll have to clarify, this is for Wilmington, this is for Florence. And you may need to show a few of them, especially if it's for, like, if you're showing it for the whole CWA and not just like a event specific. But yeah, these are great tools to have for DSS, or again, for individual situational awareness. This is an example from briefing for 331 where it was a non-event. But Steve clarified one's for Florence, Myrtle Beach, Lumberton, Wilmington, and vicinity, and it shows again the windows of concern. It also kind of gives an idea of like which hazards are most expected. So it shows wind as a primary threat, tornado second with like no hail threat. So again, great tool to have from the internal page. There is a known issue SPC is aware of and they're working on. This is an example of a time series taken from within the slight risk in our area, but yet when you pull up the time series, it's all colored marginal, because it looks like the time series peaks out at like 14% or 13%, sorry. So it's like just below slight. And so the SPC is aware of it, but be careful when you're sharing it that it shows, the category that you want. So if it's not working properly, you might want to pick a different point. But just to be aware that this is a known issue they're working on. So with that, again, this is just another great tool to have with IDSS. Weather watch questions, again, your own situational awareness for when to expect the worst of it. Be sure to include location when you're sharing these plots, and be sure there's no discrepancies between the category in the plot versus the actual, category for the day. And at this moment, these are the only internal graphics that we're allowed to share. The rest are still, again, please do not redistribute, but we do have the go-ahead to share these. So that's all I had for that. But I definitely recommend messing around with the internal page and these time series, because it's a great resource during events.